What's up guys, welcome back to the Lionfish, and we are T-minus 2 weeks from All Australia Day. Today is the 27th of February, so tomorrow is the 28th, which is the last day of February, which is flying by, and then 2 weeks from tomorrow is the 14th, which is All Australia Day at Lakeside, which is when I'm meant to be driving the BS. It's where I want the car to be running at. So we're cutting it pretty fine, 2 weeks to go. But anyway, as you saw at the end of the last episode, pretty much got this motor just about sorted out. Pretty much the last few things that I was waiting for, or waiting on, are here. Got my loom here back from Sam there at Whitey's. I'll show you a look at that. It's amazing, I'm very happy with that. And I've pretty much got everything here that I needed to finish getting this motor ready. So start looking into that. So the first thing is fuel pressure regulator. Now, when I started talking about this, I did have a heap of views start messaging me about GFB actually make a drop-in regulator for here, which is awesome, and that is a really good way to go about it. The problem is that it's like 300 and something bucks, which was a little bit out of the budget for me. So I actually did a XR6 Turbo. We did a tune recently and an injector upgrade, and the customer actually supplied a whole fuel regulator setup that came from, it wasn't Raceworks, it was Turbo Smart. So it was a Turbo Smart FPR 800 with a drop-in sort of module that drops in there, which diverts the fuel around and through an actual regulator and back out the return. And I thought that was a really good idea. So I started looking into it. I got onto our boy Jay there at Brisbane Fuel Injection Services, and he helped me out. And Raceworks actually make one. So what this is just a drop-in for this rail. And as you can see, it pretty much just diverts the fuel out of the rail, and you can divert it out through a 1/8 MPT fitting, and then you can sort of send the fuel wherever you want and then send it back into this with the 1/8 MPT fitting, and it just sends the fuel back down the return. So this goes in, so you got the fuel comes in here out of the rail, which comes out of this one on a 1/8 MPT, and then you can go through a regulator, feed it back into this 1/8 MPT, and that just shoots it back down through the center, back it down the return. So we dropped that in, and then what I decided to do, which I absolutely wouldn't recommend to any of you, it's something that I often rant about, I bought just a real cheap eBay fuel pressure regulator. So we sort of probably should practice what we preach, as we always tell people to actually buy decent, you know, fuel system things. But for this particular car, I figure this is going to be okay. I'm going to not bother boost referencing this regulator. And
I'm pretty sure the EP Man stuff's not bad though.
No, it was a $50 regulator.
EP Man, however correctly pronounced it.
Pretty sure it's just China. But anyway, either way, time will tell. Again, being that it's my car, it's my engine, I'm tuning it, I know the risks involved in using cheap fuel system stuff, so it's a little bit different for me. But for anyone who brings us cars to tune, we always sort of recommend buying decent fuel system stuff. So anyway, this is going to be the setup on the car. I've got this, which cost me like $35, I think, or $40 from Jay there at Brisbane Fuel Injection Services. So thank you for helping me out with that. And I bought this off eBay, and it was about 50 bucks. So, you know, very cheap setup. And if I have to, I'll crank this thing up to 5-6 bar to get the fuel we need into it. But as I've stated before, being that you know, the turbo's small, this thing's going to be all said and done by about 5,000 RPM. I'm hoping that injectors should be okay at about 5 bar, and I'm hoping we'll be able to do what we want to do with this car. So that's the fuel pressure setup. So I'll go ahead and install and get some fittings sorted for that, so it's sort of ready to go before we get too far. Get rid of this one. We don't need that anymore. All right, so a bit of rub grease on the seals just helps it into this little rail here. Yeah, I think that should be pretty good. Whoop. In she goes. Get our clip. Clip it back on. Oh, come on. Bob's your auntie. Got ourselves a little fuel reg situation. Not bad. All right, so next we've just got some cheap fittings that I've got in stock. Get some fittings on it. All right, a little bit of thread sealant. A fresh bottle of thread sealer, not bad at all. Ooh, hopefully that seals. Alright, so fingers crossed they don't leak, because they did go in pretty easily. They didn't really get tight on the taper, but anyway. Time will tell, there's plenty of sealant on them, so fingers crossed. Orientated about that there. And that's how I'll leave that until I get it in the car and I get a pretty good idea of where I want the the regulator because I still don't know what I'm really working with as far as a lot of the room goes. And there we have it. That's going to be our little Durban Leuven. And hopefully, with about 5-6 bar, we'll have enough fuel to keep this thing happy. So next on the list of having this thing, you know, pretty much ready to go, is this little piece of the puzzle. So this here is a Bosch 2-bar map sensor for an FG turbo. Now, when it comes to sensors like these guys, you cannot get away with cheap ones. Do not buy cheap ones. You've got to buy decent, reputable brands from reputable dealers that you know are genuine. Don't buy anything, even if it's off eBay. If it says it's genuine, don't buy it. We get it all the time. People buy cheap map sensors and stuff off eBay and they just don't read correctly. They don't read into positive pressure. They're just wrong. So that's one thing that you simply, there's no way around. Just buy something decent. So this came from EFI Solutions, so I know it's a decent one. It's Bosch, so it's genuine. And from what I've been told, that the FG 2-bar map sensor is a direct plug-in for the BA NA loom. So this plug should be exactly the same as the plug on the NA map sensor on this thing, which makes it pretty much a full-on, bolt-on, plug-in affair. Again, guys, I'm not super experienced with this Barrage stuff, so this is the first time we've ever done like an NA to turbo conversion. So hopefully this is all correct. Hopefully I've been told the right thing. I'll find the map sensor plug on this loom. Right, I'm gonna have to get this loom off this motor and laid out so that I can see it. I cannot find. Well, that's all right, because I want to show you this anyway. All right, so seeing as I've had to lay it out anyway, guys, I may as well show off this loom to you guys. So this is my Whitey's wiring conversion loom that Sam there at Whitey's Wiring did up for me. And it is freaking awesome and it makes things so simple and I'm so stoked with it. So what we have here is Sam's own fuse box, which controls everything here. He's got all fuses for everything we need to run in the fuse box ready to go, including the one for the fuel pump. So it's very similar to, obviously, he's gonna hate me saying this, but any terminated harness you'd get from like Haltech or something, although it's probably a lot better from what I've used of those terminated harnesses. So this is my 2 power inputs for the loom. So I just have to have 2 power inputs from the battery straight into here, and these are MIDI fused. These are my 2 fan outputs and my fuel pump output, and that just goes straight to my fuel pump positive because the relay is already in the relay box. So that is gauged big enough for me to run something like a Walbro 255, which should be exactly what I need for this car. That should be plenty. And apart from that, all I've got is these inputs and outputs, which he has labeled there on a sheet for me. There's a couple here like speed input, speed output, a few other little things, which I will have to use, obviously. These are my ECU plugs, and that is the entirety of the loom. So being that BA, he actually put the O2 sensor plug in the engine loom for me, which is awesome. So, and over there we've got our pedal plug, which goes to our fly-by-wire pedal, and our shifter plug, which goes to our Tiptronic shifter to make sure all the Tiptronic works for the BTR. So that's the loom, and how easy is that? So super stoked with this, and this has been a very important piece of the puzzle, because when you think about engine converting a car, you always picture it as a whole heap of work, but all of a sudden when someone's done a loom like this for you, and all you got to do is get it in the car and wire up a few bits and pieces, all of a sudden it becomes not a massive amount of work, which is why even though we're 2 weeks out from All Aussie Day, I still maintain that we could probably still get there. I'm gonna have to order a few important things probably today, or Monday I should say, at the latest. I still need diff gears, I still need at the moment I'm just going to go for a mini build center because I can't afford a true track at this point, but just to get it going, I'll be going for that. So there's a few things like that that I definitely have to order to get this happening, but we should get there. Anyway, so map sensor, that is, and look at that, plug straight in. How freaking awesome is that? Direct plug-in, that's awesome. All right, so let's install this on the manifold so it's ready to go. I'm stoked that this is here for me to install now, because I wasn't looking forward to having to do this in the car once the loom's already run in along here, because it's really hard to get at.
I hope they like the back of my head.
I'm sure they do. They love everything about you, mate.
That's all you're gonna get.
They're always like, oh, where's Rex? I really want to see the back of his head.
Yeah, it looks like an 8, maybe a 7. Because a 7 would look a lot like an 8.
But just a little bit smaller.
Yeah, not quite as
exactly what I was thinking.
Who knew?
It's a 7. Maybe it might be easier to get at from Up here maybe? Yeah, that's the other thing we've realised is that these things, the air temp is part of the map sensor, that's why they're a 4-pin. A bit different to
Did confuse me for a while.
Just found that in
There
the
it is,
VS
folks.
center console.
No rumours now. That VS was owned by a mature, responsible driver.
I'll tell you what, as good as these cars are at just being a vehicle, they're comfortable, they're reliable. When Ford was designing them, I don't know what frickin' drugs they were on when they put some stuff in some places. Like, why the hell would you put a frickin' map sensor where this map sensor is? It is the dumbest frickin' thing ever. You cannot get at it with the manifold on. It is absolutely stupid. And there's plenty of things like that all through Falcons. But I maintain that I'm very glad that I'm doing this now while it's outside the car. Because this would suck even worse. The only thing that would make this even worse is if it was in a car and I was trying to get it all this. Alright, we've got ourselves the turbo map sensor, which means everything else on the engine is as I wanted it before it went in. So we are getting ever so closer. So one of the last things we're going to do before the engine goes in is actually run the loom in, because the loom sort of runs all in the intake manifold and stuff. They're a real prick to get in once they're in the car. So I'm going to run that in as well, and from there we should be pretty well ready to get it into the car. Alright, so this is the part of loom which has to go in, and I'm thinking probably just in through this hole. So. Alright, so after all that, we decided to take the rail out to get this loom in, so could have made getting that map sensor in a whole lot easier the whole time. But anyway, if you're doing it in future, just pull the loom out, pull the rail out. Alright, that's one engine ready to go in the car at this point. So this is the other thing I wanted to show you guys. I've got my converter back. So I had Craig at Asnu actually just split the converter and just get as much stall out of the stock BTR converter as we could. And so he's ended up, apparently it should be anywhere from 22 to 2700. And given that we're running quite a small turbo on this thing, it should be spooling up around that sort of 25 to 3000 RPM. It should be flaring to the top end of that, considering when this turbo is going to spool up. So we should be seeing around 2700 stall, which is awesome. So it's exactly the way I wanted the setup to be. You know, small, a 35-ish size with a small housing. You know, a good converter, 2700 converter plus 3.9 diff gears. This thing should be exactly how I intended it to be. And like I said, it should be with that turbo. It'll be all over by 5000 RPM, hopefully. Well, not hopefully, but I predict about 5000 RPM it'll all be over. But then with 3.9s, it should be shifting back into around that 3000 RPM region. So we should be on power, and it should just be a bit of a torque monster and a bit of a, hopefully still a fast car. As you can see here as well, we've got Barras multiplying around the place. This is a BF Barra and ZF 6-speed, ready for the E46 BMW that's outside. So that is going in that BMW with the turbos. That's another Barra conversion coming up that you can look forward to. So plenty of Barra stuff happening, considering we've spent our whole YouTube career pretty much staying away from them almost up until now, and now we've just got them left, right and center, freaking everywhere. We're sick of looking at them. Rex is sick of looking at them. I did drag it up the other day. I'll chuck some footage from when I dragged it up in here. Yeah. Yeah, flying it.
Oopsie whoopsie doopsie. Oh. Yeah, this is just gonna be really fun. Yeah. It's the best we can do.
Now it's going to want to roll.
Yeah. Oh, at least it'll go up there nice and happy now.
Yeah. Alright, one dirty girl. So I can't decide, guys, whether to run these Statesman wheels or these Bellina wheels. I don't know which ones will look better. I'm sort of leaning towards the Bellina wheels. Kind of like them. I've always liked the Bellina wheels. We'll keep the Statesman ones for skidders, eh? Alright, we are pretty much ready to go in the car. Got the AC compressor back on there. I thought it'd be easier to do it now than do it when it's in the car. I had a bloke come and actually just vac it all out of the wagon before that's why I hadn't pulled this out when it came out with the motor. And I went and took the manifolds off, and there's definitely still a fair bit of refrigerant in there because it pretty much exploded and got in my eye, and now my eye's really sore. So it's a trick for new ones. Even if it's been vacked out, there's still probably some pressure in there. I'll know that for next time. But anyway, so got the AC compressor on there, which will be this little one here, which is not long enough. Frig. That must go down through number one to reroute that. All right, so that's on, and that is for the pressure sensor in the line, which you do have to get out of the Falcons and put in the donor car for your aircon to work. I've still got to talk to Nigel there at Canberra about the module I need to get the AC working, but it's one of those things where I figure I'll get the car converted, running, tuned, it'll be ready to go hopefully for all Aussie Day, and I can worry about things like AC and little interior niggly bits and stuff and actually finishing the car off afterwards.
AC just costs you horsepower, buddy.
Yeah, heaps of horsepower. All right, we're up in the air. Look at us go. Oh, someone's cut all the fuel lines at the back. Do you mind?
Yeah, it's a little bit concerning.
You probably don't do it while I'm standing under it, please. So someone's cut the fuel lines out of this before. No fuel lines back here. So let's put some new fuel lines in, which isn't a big deal.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a diff. We're gonna have to get that out at some point.
Ooh, yeah. Replace them anyway. Look at that.
Ratio 308. Yeah, just gonna have to go.
They're pretty sad anyway.
Get rid of them. No, so we got this heifer of a 4L60 out. That's a bit average. But anyway, as long as it works. That's very average. That's definitely not going to work.
What's that? Oh yeah.
I'll have to get a new steering rack.
That's very how you going.
Yep.
Maybe we do get a whole car.
Maybe need a parts car, I think. Considering that I need like a bonnet, a front bar, a front Rio, front headlights, and now probably a steering rack. I think I might try and get a parts car. Spare parts. Might be a good idea. Alright, so Just get this arm off and drop the box. Got the tail shaft and the exhaust out, so that's all right. Just having a quick look around the car. There's a fair few bushes which I'll have to replace. Again, hoping to get the car done and driving into All Aussie Day, and I can worry about doing bushes and stuff later on. As you guys know, doing VT SS front brake upgrade, because I've got a VT SS shell down there, so I've still got to do that. I'll check the rest of the brakes when I do that. Apart from that, it all looks pretty good under here. Got to get the sway bar out. Got our new sway bar there ready to go, and we've just got this tail shaft out. And so pretty much my plan is take the diff yoke side down to the tail, the shafting guy, our shafting guy, and the wagon tail shaft, and pretty much have the shaft shortened to whatever it needs to be to fit this setup, and then put that end on it with a new uni, and that's the tail shaft done and dusted. Given the fact that I don't have to get one made, I just have to get that one shortened and modified. It should actually work out fairly cheap, much cheaper than just getting one made from scratch. So yeah, it's all coming along. It's all progress. Friggin' hell, there's a lot to do in 2 weeks though. Like, it's not a lot to do in 2 weeks if we had 2 weeks, but it's a lot to do in 2 weeks when we're as busy as we are, because we are absolutely freaking run off our feet. And I've got to try and complete this sort of after hours and stuff like that, so it's going to be a struggle. I'm aiming for All Aussie Day, but if we don't make it, we don't make it. The next goal will be Rocky Nats to the start of April, which will be another 2 weeks after All Aussie Day. Breather. All right, happy days. Gearbox loose. All right, guys, so we've had a chat about it, and we have decided that we're not going to rush into trying to smash motor and box in the car today. So the biggest thing being that we have to get a new steering rack in this thing. So pretty much the way the Barra is going to sit in here, how close the back of the sump is going to be to the steering rack, and then the shape of the back of the sump, they like have the big straight down around here. It's just going to make it just about probably impossible to change this rack with the engine in. So it doesn't seem like a very time effective solution to smash the engine in when we still have to change the rack out. If we're going to have to pretty much pull the motor back out to do that anyway. So decided to wait. We do have a mate that has quite a few of these VSs sitting in his yard. That is why we were talking about before just getting a whole nother car. So I've asked him already about trying to salvage a fair few parts off one, and he sort of had the suggestion, well, why doesn't he just bring one over here and drop it here, and we can just pretty much use it as a donor for this thing. To which I'm all for. I'm all for that. So we might get him to do that, and that way we've got another rack and everything else we need to get out of it. So we'll wait until we've sorted out the steering rack situation, and then we'll go ahead and get the motor and box in. But I mean, it's not all bad. It gives us a bit more time to sort out the shifter situation. Rex is just measuring up a heap of stuff at the moment, so we can sort out what we're going to do as far as the shifter goes. It gives us time to sort that out before we have a motor and box in the way. Also gives me a bit more time to actually prep the engine bay for before all that happens as well. So it's probably a bit of a blessing in disguise, really. So we can see, we've got our fuel lines up there. They're actually quick disconnects, and they're about the right size. And the Barra one's over here. So the Barra one's on the opposite side, but I was looking at just running them back behind the motor, and like they'd be so close, and they're quick connects as well, so they'd probably just about just click in. It's incredible how close they are, but I reckon that they're going to be just a little bit too short. Anyway, not to worry, we'll sort something out either way, but just a bit of a pain. We won't know until we get it in there, but the motor's ready to go. We've still made really good progress today. That was the other thing, the other decision is that it's already 4 o'clock. It's already 1 hour to 5, and we've got somewhere to be after about 5 o'clock. We've got to call it a day. So for the sake of spending an hour trying to smash in a gearbox and motor, if I then have to pretty much pull it out tomorrow. So it's not that much of a disadvantage. We're not losing too much time by doing it that way. So hoping to get another VS dropped here tomorrow afternoon sometime. And I'm hoping we can get one that also doesn't have a motor in it, so that it's really easy for us to get the steering rack out of it. Because if we get one that's still got a motor and box in it, it's going to be still hard to get a rack out. But anyway, it's a pain, but what do you do? It was a $200 shell. Otherwise, I'm not really complaining. Like I said, a few bushes and stuff that need doing, but otherwise underneath's quite good condition. So we're on the right track. We're making progress. We're getting there. It's happening. it's all doing the things. But yeah, it's still got like charcoal canister and heaps of crap in the engine bay that I can yeet and get out of there. Still got to change the front sway bar. So still a few things that I can keep on going on with tomorrow until I get another car. But anyway, that'll be today. So see you in a minute. All right, check us out, guys. Probably too dark to see on the GoPro, but we have another VS. Oh yeah, all right. I gotta put a flog of tire off the other VS to put on this VS. Yeah, so gotta get a tire off that one, put it on this one so I can bush it inside, and then we'll talk about what the hell's going on. What else do you want to be doing at 8 o'clock on a Monday night? Apart from trying to get this other the VR, actually it's a VR, rolling so we can get it inside. All right, that sucked ass, but as you can see here, we've got a long roof, a VR long roof. As you can see, we've got a front bar, we've got lights, we've got a bonnet, which is quite straight, and I believe, apart from all this freaking mold and crap, I believe it should actually clean up all right. So, hoping to get away with sort of just giving it a really good clean up, maybe block it back and clear it over, and hopefully it'll just go on the VS and be mint. As you can see, we've also got driver's side mirror, driver's side door glass. We've got heaps of stuff we need. And we've also got, hopefully, when we find out when we get it up in the air, is a steering rack. So that's the plan for tonight, is to try and get a steering rack out of it. Oh, freaking hell, I'm hurting. It's been a long day. So we'll get it up on the hoist, try and get the steering rack out, and then, oh, yeah, there's just no easy way to do it. Nothing's easy. Get us some header sliders. Isn't she beautiful? Buick 3.8. Just glorious.
You know they don't make these anymore.
Yeah, you know they don't make them anymore? Holden Specialties. I reckon this will sell at auction for $20,000.
Ever since they shut down Holden, like a year or two ago, they don't make
VSs anymore.
They don't make them anymore.
VRs, I should say. Sorry, VS was the dirty Ecotex. Nothing on the Buick 3.8, is it? Long roof. Look at that. Boss. Cooked it. Into the gutter. Load another set on, boys. Boos. Good one. Someone's gone and used nails as split pins for the castle nuts for the ball joints, for the turret ends. Not bad.
I admire their ingenuity, to be honest.
Not bad. Bush mechanics.
You're such a negative Nancy.
I said not bad.
You sound very facetious.
So Rex's been talking about how everything's going really well lately. I can't even give a straight looking face, eh? What happens when you get over freaking tired, like really overtired? So we started working at 5:15 this morning, 5:30 this morning.
That's what we get for concreting.
Yeah. Does poops.
Runny red poo.
Runny red poopy. On rack and a front end. Mostly removed. Jumanji. Alright. Pretty good progress. That's a wrap on tonight though. We have been working since we literally got here at 5:15 this morning. And it's now 20 to 10. So I'm gonna go home. I'm gonna go for a big old sleep. I'm gonna come back tomorrow. Keep doing some stuff.